Hi there. Just two remarks. I didn't understood anything he said to present me because I don't understand any words in Croatian. And it's my first time in Croatia either. And it's my first speech of half an hour in English. So have mercy on me. And thank you for the support. And as I'm a little bit, I like to complicate my life, I even changed the title of my speech. Because I found out that it's 10 years from the time I read one of the most interesting, one of the most manifestos articles about digital media and digital news. It's an article of Katie Weiner. It was a lecture of Katie Weiner, which now is the editor-in-chief of The Guardian, one of the big global newspaper, and one of the attempt to decline and to theorize how we can move in the era of digital news. From newspaper to digital news, or as you prefer, from fixed to free-flowing news, or from the newsstand to the open web. And well, it was 10 years ago, October 9th, 2013. And she said, well, an era was closed, and now it opens an era in which the reader rise, in which there will be conversation, in which we, as a reader, can gain power. And well, okay, it was quite optimistic, but she changed her opinion in the middle of this decade. It was 2016, and she wrote this. I have to read with you. She said, "We are in the middle of a series of confusing battles between opposing forces, between truth and lies, facts and rumors, kindness and cruelty, between the few and the many, the connected and alienated, between the open platform of the web as its architect has imagined, and the fenced-in shells of Facebook and other social networks, between an informed public and a misguided crowd." This other article of Katie Weiner came up short after the Brexit. And it was months before the election of Donald Trump as President of the United States. And it was years before the pandemic and Capitol Hill. And, well, that was the time, and that was the first time in which we understood that the rise of the reader was a sort of utopia. But we became conscious about the perils of this new environment. And I tried to summarize all the perils and all the problems we have faced. I was appointed, my first time as appointed as editor-in-chief of a digital newspaper was in 2014, so I was completely in the middle of that problems. I summarized them. Now I'm trying to focus on that. So there were a lot of new online magazines spread out news freely on the web. You had a newspaper, you had a new, you put out some big story, and then everyone copied it and put on Facebook. And as they have a large engagement, they go viral, and they stole you, your big story. And, of course, no one goes to the newsstand to buy a newspaper which has a story you can read freely. And so legacy newspaper sell fewer copies. But it was one half of the business model that went disrupted. The other half was advertising. Google and Facebook it was 2014, 2012, entered the online advertising market. And they took a huge amount of advertising, of course, and the prices fell down dramatically. So the other column of 20th century business model of newspaper broke down. And the 20th century business model of newspaper became waste paper. So virality became the new business model. You do more clicks, you have more money. Less than before, so you have to make a lot of clicks, a lot of clicks, a lot of clicks, as something go viral. And in order to make a lot of clicks, you have to clickbait. And you have to clickbait a lot, because other does. So you have to do more than them. And it was very easy for people who wanted to spread fake news and to let fake news go viral on this environment in social networks, to spread them. We saw it. And, well, we can talk about another time about Trump, about Brexit, about Russian hackers or something like that, but I want to focus on journal. If you disrupt a business model and you have less money to put on newspaper, journalists are less paid. So no one wants to become a journalist, and the profession breaks down. And if newspapers become weaker, they can be scalable by great financial trustees in the West of Europe and oligarchs in the East. We see what's happening in Hungary, for example, with a lot of newspapers, more than 100 newspapers, 450 newspapers held by oligarchs next to Orban, for example. And we see what's happening, for example, in France, where a lot of newspapers are held by oligarchs and millionaires, which are a few control a lot of information. So information is less independent. And the readers are not arising. The readers are less informed. And that's the problem, the perils of this new environment we found out. Now a question. That was more or less 2016. That was. And do you think the situation worsened or got better from 2016 until now? Can you raise a hand if you think it's getting better? No. You think it's getting better. What do you think is worsening the situation? Or the other one, I have no opinion about that. Well, I give you mine. It's getting better. And it's getting better? Okay, you won. It's getting better for a lot of reasons, I think. First, the algorithms are getting better. I see, from my perspective, and I talk to other people, when there was a sort of Facebook-driven traffic, Facebook-driven business model, the idea was do a lot of contents, they go viral, you have a lot of engagement, and you have some clicks, and you clickbait, and so on and so on. Right now, and we experience it, we had 80% of the traffic was from Facebook. Now 20% of the traffic is from Facebook, because after Capitol Hill, after the pandemic, Facebook retired for the news. They don't spread the news no more. And, or very few than before. And we have the switch from social source to organic and social engine-driven sources of online readers. Right now, 60% of online readers in fan page pass from Google. And it's a better algorithm, because the more you are accurate, the more you write something that's different for the other, the more you are on time, the more you are you're doing something that's accurate, the more you are trusted, and the more you are up in the page. So rather than before, now the algorithms are getting better, are pushing good information instead of clickbait and spreading, of course, viral contents. And we have more tools. Debunkers, fact-checkers, online communities help people to combat fake news. Not everywhere. We see what's happening on the former Twitter. But in some ways, even social networks have, and the environment of digital news has more tools to prevent and combat fake news. Right now, it's not that easy as 10 years ago to spread misinformation. Right now, if you lose trust some way, you lose readers. 3, some business models are working. When I first was appointed as editor-in-chief of a little online newspaper, my online newspaper, well, it costed 1 million per year, and it gained 200,000 euros per year. So it was very, very a loss of money. Right now, that newspaper it reached a break-even. I work with a newspaper that reached the break-even every year, and every year has some gains. A lot of Italian newspaper I know has gained money on digital media, and they do with a lot of different models, from paywall models to subscriber models to free models based on advertising as fan page. So experience made us independent newspaper, gave us, as an independent newspaper, a way to be self-sustainable. And that's another thing that is important for this environment. And as I said before, fan page, such as a lot of other digital independent media, we have Telegram HR right here in front of me, are examples of new independent media with different business model, a lot of young journalists, and a lot of new ideas on how to inform people in the digital era. Something that's very important is that every time something new comes, we are very young, as I said before. On fan page, we have a newsroom of 82 people. That is the average age is 30 years. So I am 43. I'm the oldest of the band. And Italy is not so easy to find that. So let's talk about fan page. First of all, I have to explain the name, which is quite strange. We were born exactly in 2011. As I said before, we are a fan page. We are a bunch of fan page on Facebook. The fan page on Facebook grew before the newspaper. So there was the sport fan page, there was gossip fan page, there was politic fan page and something like that, cinema fan page, that spread news, spread engagement or something like that on this fan page on Facebook. And after that, our media company said, well, let's build a newsroom to make these contents. And then, well, let's build a journalistic newsroom to make these contents. And then let's build a newspaper, a digital media that can be in there and that can compete in this market. And, well, of course, right now, we grew a lot, and these are the insights of fan page. So 27 million unique users per month. 152 page views per month, and a total social community fan base from Facebook to TikTok to X to Instagram that reaches 35 million people. Well, now I have to tell you more or less who we are. So we are a free generalist and popular media outlet that covers almost every topic, from sport to politics to the news to gossip, everything. We produce from 200 to 300 contents per day, written contents per day, but we are also focused on video making. And we have an investigation media outlet, which is called Baxter, which is specialized in undercover investigation. And we did a lot of undercover investigation. I would like to present some, but, well, of course, I don't have the time to. But we infiltrated the mafia, we infiltrated the waste traffickers in Italy, we infiltrate fascists, we infiltrate rehab held by a nun, and we infiltrate in a lot of places, and this investigation had a lot of, well, rumor in Italy. And we have also a creator media factory that produces native content for the platform, because we are trying to go where people is. So if you are on Facebook and you are on TikTok and you are a scroller, not a reader, we put news right there. We follow the readers. And as I said before, well, I think the most important thing about us is that we are independent. Our media company is just a media company. And believe me, in Italy it's not that common. We believe that independence and freedom is our force, because people rely on us because we are friend of no one. I think this slide is important because, as I said to you before, we have a lot of people that follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We are the first reading experience for the youngster, and for a lot of people in Italy. Basically, it's one of the only newspaper that's for everyone. Legacy newspaper are for eldest people. They don't reach youngest people. And I want to tell you what we are not. So, we are not a gated community of informed readers. That's one of the key points. To be generalist for us is so important, and to have no paywalls is so important for us. Because we think that, as I said before, if our goal is the rise of the readers, we have to go where there is uninformed people. We have to dialogue with, we have a conversation with people with an opinion that is different from ours. We have to listen to them of the problems. Some of these investigations, the investigation regarding the nun and the rehab community, started from a message that one reader sent us. So it's a constant dialogue to our readers, and in some ways that are people that's very different from us, that are very far from us. But we listen to them and we talk to them. We are even not someone who chooses for the readers what they have to be interested of. So if you want to follow gossip, we give you gossip, and we try to give you the best way we can. We don't make a selection for you as a topic, but we can want to give you the best on every topic. Of course, we believe that journalism is a service for the supreme interest of the reader. Do you remember? Rise of the Reader. And we are not journalists who believe that numbers and to be self-sustainable is not that important. Our media company don't ask me to be kind with this politician or to pick up to beat the other politician. They ask me to give them a self-sustainable newspaper. So, because independence and self-sustainability is important to be free. Most important, we don't believe our model is written on the stone. We know that everything changes every day, and every time we think we have a solution, we have a business model that works, something changes, algorithm change, new income, new runner-up emerge, new media emerge. You see other models, you see how can I get to it, how can I go on TikTok, how can I go on Instagram, how can I be better than the other native outlet on Instagram. So everything changes dramatically. And of course, the role of AI plays a great role on our business model for the next 10 years. It can change everything, just such as social networks changed everything in the 10 years, in the last decade. It can dramatically change. I listened before, he said, well, AI can be a great opportunity, and in some ways I think it's a great opportunity. It's something that helps us to make a great job, but of course, it can scale up and down the market for every one of us, breaking down all the languages barriers. Do you believe when every video content could be translated in your language and you can have access of basically all the video content produced in the whole world? Well, it can disrupt your market because people can see better video content from the other part of the world, but your video can reach the whole world. It can be both helping hand and a competitor for journalists. And it can produce and debunk fake news. It can change the business model of digital media industry, or it can disrupt the whole industry. So, I think we are in the middle of something. We are in another tipping point, such as Katie Weiner was in 2013, when social networks emerged as the new big thing. She said at the end of the Gutenberg era, the era in which the reader and the writer are in conversation and not one above the other. And we are in this tipping point. So how can we get to that? How can we promote a rise of the reader 2.0 in 2033 for the next 10 years? Well, I took the article of Katie Weiner and I took the last sentence of the article, the very end of this article. And she said that we are privileged to be living in this era of great transition, privileged to be alive, to help shape a new journalism from a new age. In her final statement, Katie Weiner believes that truth would have made better the conversation and invited us to embrace the ecosystem of the web and combine the established journalistic technique with new ways of finding, telling, and communicating stories. Well, I think that's the real point we have in 2013 and now, 10 years later. But I think also that everything, in the very end, depends on our independence, on our business model, and our openness to a constantly changing environment. At the very end, the rise of the reader depends on us. Thank you very much.